Hello, everyone. Welcome to So What? I hope you're having a great start to your week and that you are ready for some sewing and embroidery and serger inspiration because April is National Serger Month. We just kind of closed out National Quilting Month, and I actually have a quilty project to share with you today, but we're also starting to dive into all of that serger education, serger products, and I hope that, this inspires you to get your serger out of hiding. A lot of times people tell me that their serger is just in their closet collecting dust. So there's no time like the present to get it out, dust it off, try out some new projects. I actually published a blog post this morning at blog.sulky.com about our Serger Month giveaway. We've been doing some amazing giveaways, starting with National Embroidery Month in February. And we just closed out our National Quilting Month giveaway on the 31st and started our National Serger Month giveaway. So I linked to the giveaway in the description of today's post. And if I could find the image for it, which I thought I added here, I may have to put it up on the screen. Oh, here we go. I knew I was prepared. So our National Serger Month giveaway, all you have to do is select the way that you would like to enter the giveaway. You can sign up for our email newsletter. You can like us on Facebook, which many of you already have here if you're viewing on Facebook. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which you may have already done as well if you're viewing me there on YouTube. There's many different ways you can enter to win, and you can enter to win multiple times. So that will just up your chances of winning this giveaway. You could win 2 fantastic thread slimline packages, or assortments rather, for our 40 weight poly deco thread. I use this thread a lot in serging, especially when I want a decorative serger application. Also, if you win this amazing serger giveaway, you will receive, you will receive registrations for our serger content over at sewingonline.sulky.com. So you'll get free registration for our Serger Basics and Beyond session with Katrina Walker. This is an on-demand session that you can view at any time. It's completely self-guided by you, so you can choose the videos that you want to watch, and how you want to view the content is totally up to you. And it lives in your library there at sewingonline.sulky.com for as long as you have an account there. So it never expires. It's a great resource you can refer to again and again. Also, with your registration, you get our Jelly Roll Home Decor pattern. It is a pattern for a table runner as well as a pillow that you make with the flat locking stitch that you learn throughout the serger session. So you get to learn all these techniques for using your serger, how to set it up. If you don't have a serger, this is a really great session to kind of get you thinking about, what could I actually create with a serger? How do I thread the serger? Things to think about for maintaining your serger, all kinds of information. There's even a downloadable PDF that is a really great serger buying guide. So if you're in the market for a serger, or if you are looking to upgrade your serger, you can print out this buying guide, kind of select the options that you want for the type of sewing that you do, and then you can take that to your sewing machine dealer or wherever you are choosing to purchase a serger, and you can make sure that the serger you're looking at checks off all of those boxes. So there's lots and lots of information packed in this serger sewing session. And if you win our serger giveaway, you will get a free registration for this, as well as free registration for our next level serger success session. So this was kind of the part 2 follow-up to the Basics and Beyond serger session, also with Katrina Walker. During this session, you kind of take those basic serger skills to the next level. She also provides you with this bonus pattern to create a serge as you go table runner. So you're kind of quilting with your serger, and it's a really great process and a great technique to learn for table runners, placemats, all kinds of different things, as well as larger format quilts. So this is also included if you happen to be the winner of our Sulky Serger giveaway. So be sure to click on the link that I posted in the description of today's post. It'll take you right over to the giveaway page and you can enter to win. You can also share it out to your friends and family so they can also enter to win. And the more times you share, the better chance you have of winning the prize. So a little bit later today, we will be randomly choosing the winner for our quilting giveaway. So nothing brings me greater pleasure than telling somebody that they've won something. It is so fun. All right, so this giveaway will be active for the entire month of April while we are celebrating National Serger Month. What month is it? So many national months. All right, Joan says, just got my serger back and ready to go. All right. So lots of serger content will be coming your way throughout the month of April and beyond. You know, we like to sprinkle it in everywhere we can, just to give you all a vast variety of projects to suit your fancy. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be going through a quilty project today. You may have seen this on the Sulky blog. You can grab the entire tutorial for this particular table runner, as well as how to create half square triangle blocks, which are featured on this table runner, which might seem pretty basic, but the half square triangle block is the basis for so many quilt blocks, from the very, very basic quilt blocks to more intricate blocks. So if you get down a half square triangle and you can kind of assembly line style create them and, you know, at any rate, we'll go through it momentarily. Before we do, though, I have a great giveaway today from Sulky, and it's yet again another sort of sewing type, right? You know, I don't really like to pigeonhole myself into saying I'm a garment sewer or I'm a quilter or I'm an embroiderer. I'm just kind of an everything crafter. Like I'm an omni crafter for reals. I know some people, you know, kind of label themselves like I'm really a quilter or I am a cross stitcher. And certainly if you do a lot of hand stitching, then you might identify as a hand embroiderer, a cross stitcher, what have you. But today, along with serging, I am going to show off our cross stitch pillow kit because this is the giveaway on today's So What. So one lucky viewer who is watching, commenting, giving me those thumbs up, somehow engaging with the live stream today. That's all you have to do to be eligible to win today's gift from Sulky, which is our spring cross stitch pillow kit. So this is what the pillow looks like when you're all done using up your kit components. And I'm just going to really zoom in here so you can see the detail of all these cross stitches. Doesn't that look phenomenal? And I love the springy colors and the birdies and the flowers. And you can see it looks really, really great on this natural pillow blank. So what is included in the kit, which is valued at $40 at sulky.com, you will get this natural color pillow blank. You'll also get a really high quality embroidery hoop. You get a pack of hand sewing needles, as well as 6 beautiful Sulky 12 weight cotton petites thread. You also, of course, get the spring cross stitch design. Now, with this natural pillow, it's not Aida cloth, right? So you can't really do counted cross stitch. what we're going to do for this project is actually stamped cross stitch. So you will take your cross stitch pattern, I'll make it a little bit smaller here, print it onto Sulky Stick and Stitch Stabilizer, and then place your stabilizer sheets like a sticker on top of your pillow blank. Cross stitch through all layers following your stamped cross stitch pattern, and then you'll wash that all away, leaving your beautiful cross stitches. Now, certainly this is, I believe, like a linen woven blend, linen weave blend, linen blend pillow blank. So you can, count these holes or spaces in the weave of the fabric. You could see the cross stitches are very, very small in order to do that, or you can do the stamped cross stitch method. So either way, one lucky viewer who is watching, commenting, giving me those emojis, all of those good things to engage with me here on the post, or in the live stream, that's all you have to do to be eligible to win this great kit from Sulky. Here is another view of the beautiful thread that is included in the kit with the Primitive Gatherings handwork needles, that great embroidery hoop, and of course the pillow blank. Sharon is saying, is this all cross stitch? It is all cross stitch. Isn't that impressive? I absolutely love it. It's so beautiful. Such a lot of work goes into this project. But there's something really satisfying about handwork and cross stitch and hand embroidery. And if cross stitch isn't your thing, you can also print that design onto your stick and stitch. And instead of cross stitches, you can do your favorite embroidery stitches. You can do fill stitches. You can do outline, back stitches, running stitches to create your bird and your flowers and all of that using that same thread. You could also free motion, do free motion embroidery with the 12 weight thread through that stick and stitch onto your pillow blank, set your machine for free motion, lower the feed dogs, move around your pillow blank, and you can follow the lines of the pattern doing free motion embroidery. So lots of different ways you can interpret that project. But the original designer of the project did it in this beautiful cross stitch style. All right. So that's today's great giveaway from Sulky. Let's see. Someone had a question regarding, let's see, the size of the pillow. I think it's either a 16-inch or an 18-inch pillow blank. I will see if I can get that information for you. Can I buy one of those embroidery hoops at sulky.com? You certainly can. We actually have 3 sizes of these great high quality embroidery hoops. They come in 6-inch, 8-inch, and 10-inch. So depending on, the project that you're working on or the size that you desired, you can choose the size that works best for you for most of the projects that you do. All right. Christy says, I identify as a fabraholic and no desire to be redeemed. Any sewing idea appeals to me. I love it. All right, me too. Oh, and thank you. The pillow blank measures 14 inches squared. So I was totally wrong. 14-inch pillow. All right. And Janet says, I love having a hand project with me when traveling or waiting to keep me busy. Me too. When you're going to the doctor's office, or maybe you're, sitting with a friend who's undergoing, a treatment for something. It's really meditative process, kind of gets you in the zone, kind of clears your mind. So I agree with you on that for handwork projects as well. All right. Let's see. Colleen says, I'm still struggling with cross stitch, but I will conquer it someday. I struggle with it too, because I think this is why I was never a really good knitter, is because of so much counting is involved. And I would knit a scarf and it would just start going like this because, my count was off for my rows. And I kind of have the same problem with cross stitch. I guess I just am not good with the numbers, unfortunately. But the stamped cross stitch really makes it so much easier because you're really just following the X's of the pattern. And really what you need to remember is to switch your colors when you get to a different part of the design. So the pattern itself has different symbols for each of the colors so that you're not accidentally, moving forward on your flower going into the stem and you forgot to change to, the yellowish, greenish color. Because again, it's that meditative process. And sometimes we can kind of just get in the zone and completely forget that we're on a different part of the design. You can also print the design out in color onto your stick and stitch, which I definitely prefer to do because I really, even if the symbols, are there, sometimes I still am in the zone and forget to change the colors. So when you print it in color onto the stick and stitch, make sure you're printing on that fabric-like side because you're going to remove the paper backing to create your sticker. Anyways, you can print it in color and that just gives you a great visual clue for when you're done with that section and you can move on and get a different thread color. All right. Terry says, well done, counted cross stitch can almost look like a painting. Absolutely. I feel like that about pretty much all sewing projects. Quilts, can look like paintings, hand embroidery. Yes, agree. All right. So let's see. I have some other, items to discuss with you before we get to this great project today. Because last week I mentioned that our Ireland tour was closing for registrations. But we asked Craft Tours if we could extend for a couple more weeks because we only have a few spots remaining. And I would love it if everybody who wants to go on this tour gets to go. So I didn't want the tour to close without these, 3 or 4 spots filled up. The more the merrier, as they say. So if you are interested in joining me in Ireland in the peak, beautiful time of the end of July into August, we're going to have an amazing time going to all of the bucket list locations in Ireland. If you've always wanted to go to Ireland, really, now is the time. This is a great deal for all of the excursions that we have planned on the tour. We also get our private motor coach the entire time. We have different tour guides we will meet along the way for different areas of Ireland. We also have a Craft Tours escort with us the entire time to make sure we're staying on time, make sure we're getting to where we need to go. So if you are always the travel planner, that's generally my job, mostly because I'm very type A and I like to know what I'm doing. I'm very regimented. Do you get that? But anyway, if you are always the person that has to plan your travels, make sure everybody gets to from point A to point B, lining up all the cars and transportation, these tours are for you because you don't have to do any of that. All you have to do is wake up in the morning, have your fabulous breakfast, get on the motor coach, and say, where are you taking me today? It is so nice and stress-free, and you just have the best time because you don't have to worry about all those details. All you do is get to where you're going and start exploring. And, whereas we become a very tight-knit family group, and everybody makes new friends on these tours. We all have our love of sewing in common, and it's just a really, really fantastic experience. So if you are interested in this, I posted a link directly to the Ireland tour in the description of today's post. If you're not seeing all the links that I populated today, be sure to click on the More button or See More so that the whole description will pop out for you, and you'll have all those links for everything I'm talking about today, including our giveaway for National Serger Month, our Ireland tour, I also included the link to our Bali tour. This tour is happening in October because it coincides with a Batik Expo. So we will get exclusive access to this Batik Expo where we can shop for batik fabrics. We will learn how to create our own batik fabrics in a workshop. We're going to an ECAT factory to see how ECAT fabrics are woven. We'll be going to an elephant sanctuary. There's lots and lots and lots packed into this Bali tour. And again, the weather is going to be phenomenal, even though it's October, because we will be in the tropical paradise of Bali. I mean, just looking at this image is breathtaking. So if you would like to check out this tour, that is also linked in the description of today's post. Again, we will have access in Bali to a lot of things that the normal tourist doesn't get to see or do. So this is really, really a phenomenal opportunity and experience. All right. And Marilyn says this kit would be perfect to take along to work on while you're on any of these tours. Exactly. Love a handwork kit for that. And I also will be doing some different sewing workshops during these tours as well. That's another benefit of going, is that we get together on a day. Sometimes it's at the beginning of the tour, sometimes it's closer to the end, but either way, we will be making something that will commemorate our travels together. And I will be taking you through that entire workshop while we are in these beautiful locations. So definitely check those out. We also have some other tours already planned for 2025. We will be going to Greece in 2025 at the beginning of summer. The weather is going to be phenomenal. We will be doing all the quintessential things you want to do in Greece. We will also be taking a trip to India during the Festival of Holi, which is the beginning of spring. So that's going to be March timeframe. So if you are interested in our future tours for 2025, you can contact Craft Tours and get on a really manageable payment plan so that it's, a little bit easier to sort of absorb the cost of your travels and, extend those payments out into 2025 to make them really manageable for you. Also, at the end of 2025, we will be doing another Germany and Austria Christmas market tour. I'm really hoping we get to go to the sulky factories to see how sulky thread is made and wound. It's a really, really phenomenal experience. All right, so check all of those out at Craft Tours. Use the links that I posted in the description of the post of the live stream today, because there's so many different tours offered at Craft Tours, and I want you to be able to find the sulky ones quickly and easily and check those out. Also, coming up next week is our Treasured Threads Faux Patchwork webcast with Amy Barrickman. This is a free event at sewingonline.sulky.com. We will be going live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time with Amy Barrickman next Tuesday, April 9th. So make sure that you are registered to reserve your spot. You can grab up a freebie from Amy Barrickman, and we will be going through this faux patchwork technique of using fabric panels that are pre-printed to embellish a jean jacket. We'll also be using those fabric panels to create some smaller projects. There are so many things you can do with these great faux patchwork fabric panels. We will be adding thread and beautiful embellishments to them as well. And Amy is going to take us through that entire process. Here is one of the creations you can make using those fabric panels for this faux patchwork look. Here is another just treatment on a denim jacket. It looks like all these tiny little squares have been pieced together, but that is the fabric print. So we're kind of taking a shortcut on the piecing so that we can do more embellishments by hand or machine using Amy Barrickman's Crossroad thread collections that we have at sulky.com. Here is just a little bit closer up image of that fabric panel in a different way that you can use it to embellish a pretty jacket. And then you can see the handwork on here as well, but you can also use this heavier weight thread on your sewing machine. And we will talk about that as well during the webcast. This is another project that you can create using the fabric panel. So you can see you get these half square triangle looks and these different quilt block looks, but all of that piecing is in the fabric print. All right, so here is one of the fabric prints that we have kitted up with our sulky thread and favorite fusible stabilizer by Amy Barackman. This is the Missouri Star quilt panel. So the kit is offered in two colorways, the Missouri Star colorway as well as the postage stamp colorway. These are all inspired by vintage textiles, vintage quilts, and we're going to take those, put them on a jacket, create some other projects with them, and kind of modernize it a little bit, right? We're going to take it into this century and do the trendy jean jacket quilt block project that I am still seeing everywhere. When I was at QuiltCon a few weeks ago, people sporting their quilt blocks on the back of their jacket, still a really big trend that's not going away, and a great way to display your handwork, without sort of draping a quilt on your back, right? So it's going to be really fun. Please join us next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, April 9th with Amy Barackman. Make sure you are registered. Grab up a kit before they're gone. They're at an amazing, amazing price right now as well. They're already on sale. So you can grab up both kits and get them for, a fraction of the cost if you were to buy all of these things up separately. All right. So I think that's all of our business today. Oh, no, you know what? I have one more thing to announce, and I am so excited to talk about this sewing session that we now have up for registrations at sewingonline.sulky.com. You may remember a couple of months ago, I was asking everyone if they wanted to learn how to add embroidery to some stretchy pants, to some lounge pants, to some sleepwear. And so many of you said, yes, yes, yes. Plus, please give us more Serger content. Well, now that it's National Serger Month, I'm really excited to bring to you our embroidered lounge pants sewing session, now available for registrations at sewingonline.sulky.com. Yay! All right, so when you purchase this sewing session, you get tons of videos that show you how to embroider stretch fabric, how to embroider stretch fabric while still retaining the stretch of your stretch fabric, right? Look how beautifully flat and pucker-free this embroidery is on the panel of these pants. You also get this pant pattern, which is called the Pittsburgh Walking Pant by Amanda's Bundles. Let me show you what that pattern looks like. It's a PDF pattern. So your very first lesson within the session is going to be teaching you how to use a PDF pattern, how to print only the style and size that you require rather than printing, 500 pages that include all the styles and sizes. You'll learn so much about working with digital patterns, how to choose the style that's right for you and the size that's right for you. And then I also take you through extensive videos for how to set up your serger, how to serge the pants together, of course, how to do the embroidery on stretch fabric. And I also want to mention this fabric. So, of course, we have kitted up the project as well. This fabric is called Peached Performance Fabrics. It is also by Amanda's Bundles. This fabric, I have not found it anywhere else. It is a sort of medium weight stretch fabric. There's absolutely no show through in this fabric when you bend or stretch or move. It's so great for embroidery. It is so comfortable and buttery to wear against your skin, and it's perfect for these pants. Now, the pants have so many different options. You can create a capri pant, a shorter bike pant, a longer yoga pant with a little bit of a flared hem. It's also generously sized with a lot of ease built in. So they're not super tight fitting like a legging. They're more of a lounge pant or a walking pant, hence the name. If you do desire a closer fit like leggings, we also teach you through the process how to achieve that type of fit. You're basically going to size down and adjust your seam allowances a little bit. If you don't have a serger, I also include information on how to set up your sewing machine for sewing the pants together. So you do not need a serger to participate in this sewing session. That's actually why I called it a sewing session instead of a serger session. But you will learn both methods. So if you want to serge your pants and make them lickety split, I'll show you how to set up your serger. There's also 3 different hemming options that you will get videos for. So you can use your regular sewing machine to hem the pants. You can use your serger, a couple of different versions of a serger hem, or you can use a cover stitch machine if you happen to be lucky enough to own one of those. All brands of sergers are going to work as well. Thank you for asking, Sharon. In the tutorial, I do use a baby lock, but the same techniques will apply for other sergers as well. The embroidery design is also included with purchase of the session. So you get about $15 worth of patterns and designs, with purchase of your session. It's really an amazing deal. This is called Celestial Zen, and it is really just that. It's moons and floral designs and suns. And it kind of speaks to, you're finding your zen at the sewing machine or serger, right? So this design comes in 3 sizes. The size of design that you choose is really going to be determined by either your hoop limitations or the size of pant that you're making. The pant pattern comes in sizes extra small to 10X. You get all those sizes in this pant pattern. But I do want to mention the kit for the pants with this amazing peached performance fabric, which it's in kind of a brushed black, okay? So here are my pants, and maybe you can see it a little bit easier here. The brushed side is the right side. So see, it's almost a little bit heathered, with this brushed look. And the inside is this more like solid black, but it has this really luxurious, nice buttery feel to it. So they're really comfortable to wear. And with the kit, you get 4 spools of almost black, it's called almost black, thread for use in your serger. So you can use a 4-thread overlock and use all 4 spools in your 4-thread overlock to create your pants. Or if you're using your regular sewing machine, you will have a little bit of thread left over for another project. But thankfully it's in this black color, a great neutral to have on hand. Also, these 2 golden thread spools that you get, one is Sulky Poly Deco in gold, which is our 40 weight polyester thread. You also get a 30 weight poly sparkle thread. So if you want to do your embroidery, the design is suitable for either poly sparkle thread or poly deco thread. On my sample, I used the poly sparkle, so it has a little bit of metallic running through it. And look how I have retained the stretch of my fabric. My embroidery design is not bulletproof. I also give you tips for adding tender touch to the wrong side of your embroidery, but I'll give you a little insider tip here that you will learn throughout the session. You want your tender touch to only be attached to your stabilizer, not attached to your fabric. This way, it's supporting and covering and concealing the wrong side of your embroidery, but your pants can still stretch and move freely beyond the stabilizer edges. All right, so now you got a little insider tip that I reveal throughout the session, but it's, great information for all kinds of stretch fabric embroidery, not just on pants. So you'll learn a lot of stuff for embroidering t-shirts, onesies, sweatshirts, things with differing amounts of stretch to them. And the design goes all the way down the leg, depending on the hoop and the embroidery size that you're doing. So if you don't have a super big mega embroidery hoop, you can go with a little bit smaller design and it'll still look really great on the pants. It doesn't have to go all the way down. Also, another great thing about these pants is they have a pocket on both of the side panels. So we all need those pockets, right? And there's also a little bit of elastic built into the nice comfy waistband. Now I do want to mention, you see here, there's no elastic included in the kit because it is optional. And I take you through that during the session as well in the videos. I show you how to apply the elastic if you want to, but you certainly can just do a waistband treatment if you want it to be a little bit flatter. And, the pattern also gives you some tips for kind of bringing in your waistband if you're not using elastic, so you still have a little bit of a tighter fit so they don't basically fall off of you when you are taking your walking pants out for a walk. As I mentioned, 3 different hemming options, lots of different styles to choose from for the pants. The kit has enough fabric to create up to size 2XL or 2X. And from 3X to 10X, you'll have enough fabric for a few of the different styles. But if you do want a longer pant and you fall into, I would say longer than sort of knee length pant, and you fall into the 3X to 10X size, you do need 1 extra yard of fabric. So in addition to our embroidered lounge pants pattern and kit, we have also put our copycat leggings kit on sale, so that if you do want a second kit for that extra yard of fabric that you need, you can either buy a second embroidered lounge pant kit, or you can purchase one of our copycat leggings kit. The copycat leggings come with different fabric, so you can do a color blocked version of the pant and you'll have enough yardage for those larger sizes if you want to create the longer pant. So all of this is explained on our offer page for the session, which I link directly to in the description of today's post. So it gets to be a little confusing because there's so much information to pass along to you. But this is going to be a really, really great resource for you, definitely for embroidering different kinds of stretch fabric, but also in creating these pants. It's really a great pant style for so many different, all different figures you can see on here. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Again, this is it's getting a little bit blurry, but you get the idea. You can create, capri length, biker short length, even shorter or much, much longer. You'll get information for color blocked version. You'll get information for all of, using your serger or using your sewing machine. I mean, really, I could go on and on. And everyone's saying, yay to pockets. Oh, and Anne, thank you so much for saying this. Is Action Back a new stabilizer? I can't believe I forgot to even mention it. We are debuting a brand new sulky stabilizer called Action Back, and it's only available right now in this kit. this stabilizer is really revolutionary for stretch fabric embroidery. In fact, I tried, my go-to used to be soft and sheer, because soft and sheer is a lightweight stabilizer that's great for knits. I love using it for t-shirts and really lighter weight, like tissue knit type applications, and still do. Action Back is a little heavier weight. So with this sort of medium weight knit, or a sweatshirt knit, or performance fabrics like golf shirts that have like a moisture wicking barrier, those type of fabrics or substrates that are kind of slippery on your fingers, Action Back is amazing stuff. And in the session, I take you through how to use it, how best to hoop or not hoop your fabric, as the case may be, and you will just absolutely love working with it. So yes, thank you for mentioning that. Action Back is brand new, and you can only get it right now at sulky.com inside of the Embroidered Lounge Pant Kit. But let me just tell you, this fabric is very high quality, very, very nice knit fabric. You cannot find this in your local fabric store, I guarantee you. When I first started asking you all if you wanted content like this to make a garment, specifically, some comfy pants, you could even sleep in these pants. I mean, they're so comfy and nice to wear. Oh, there's also a gusset built in to your inseam. So they're so comfy to wear because of that gusset. But at any rate, you don't have these intersecting seams right there, if you know what I mean. All right. So this fabric, you can find it for upwards of like $24 a yard sometimes. You'll get 2 yards in this kit, all 6 of these threads, and the Action Back stabilizer, and it's on sale for, I believe, $36.99 for the whole kit. I'm just going to double check. $36.99. I mean, it's worth it for the fabric alone to grab up the kit. And everybody likes a black pant. It goes with everything. It slims us down. It's just the perfect combination, in my opinion. All right, let's see. Will it be available to order separately soon? The Action Back. Hopefully very soon. We will have it in different sizes as well. For right now, you'll get a 1 yard pack with this kit. It's kind of our debut rollout of Action Back stabilizer. Would it work on t-shirts? Yes, it does. I would use it with a little bit heavier weight t-shirts, or t-shirts that have like a coating on them, or specific moisture wicking properties, such as like even like a sports bra type, material, tennis skirt, that type of stuff. If you're working on a very lightweight t-shirt, you probably want to go with soft and sheer for your stabilizer for that, simply because you don't want any sort of show through. And the Action Back is a little heavier weight, or a lot heavier weight than the soft and sheer stabilizer. All right. Mary Lou says, looks great. Have to try it. How do you get more yardage if you are bigger than the 2 yards? It says you need another yard for 3X to 10X. All right, so if you fall between the 3X to 10X and you want to create the capri length or longer pant, you either need a second kit of the Embroidered Lounge Pant, or you can grab up our Copycat Leggings kit, because it also includes a 2 yard cut of fabric. Now that fabric is a double brushed poly spandex fabric. So if you're going to do some color blocking, let's say you want to use this brushed black fabric for your side panel that you're going to embroider, and then you want to use the galaxy print from our Copycat Leggings for the rest of the pant, you can do a color blocked version, and then you'll have 4 yards to work with by buying both kits. Or you can grab up 2 kits of the Embroidered Lounge Pant. You'll get 2 stabilizers, and you'll get lots more thread that you can add to your stash, use for other projects, what have you. But quite honestly, I would purchase up 2 of the embroidered lounge pant kits if I wanted the extra yard of fabric for the larger sizes, simply because this fabric is so fantastic. And when it is sold separately on other websites, you will find it's much less cost effective than grabbing up this kit. Just, because Sulky is giving such a great discount on it as we roll out this educational opportunity. All right. Yes, Phyllis says, great price on this. Peg says, does the pattern come with the kit? Actually, the pattern comes with purchase of the session. So when you sign up and register for the session, you'll get the pattern, which has a $9.99 value. You'll also get the Celestial Zen Machine Embroidery Collection, which comes with this design in 3 sizes. So once you register, you'll get the pattern and the embroidery designs, and then you can head on over to sulky.com and grab up the kits of your choice. All right. So lots to learn and explore with your serger, or you can also use your sewing machine to create the pants. And I think you all will find it very enjoyable. Let's see. Joan says, this is so exciting. All right. So let's get to, I know that was a lot of business to get through for the so what, and maybe some of you are saying like, hey, let's get to the table runner. But this table runner is so simple to make that we will get through it in no time. You could actually tackle it this afternoon and be done with your table topper in a couple hours time, quite honestly. The biggest hurdle is cutting out your squares, because we're going to create half square triangles using 2 squares of fabric placed right sides together. And then we're going to arrange our half square triangles in a variety of patterns till we figure out the layout that we want, sew them together, and there we have our quilt top, or our quilty table runner top. All right, so let's get to our half square triangle table runner. First off, as I mentioned, you want to have 2 squares of fabric. I'm working with charm squares, so mine are about 5 inches. Now, on the blog post that I mentioned is linked in the description of today's live stream, I have a little chart that shows you, if I want a half square triangle block to measure 5 inches square, then how big do I need to cut my fabrics to create those half square triangle blocks? Well, the rule of thumb is really to add 7/8 of an inch to your desired finished half square triangle block to come up with the squares that you need to cut to start off with. So our 2 fabric squares are going to create 2 half square triangles, and we're going to sew those together as one. So we are really creating 2 blocks from 2 squares of fabric. All right, so that's what I mean. Like, once you have your squares cut, you can really just sew, get into the zen of sewing your diagonal lines, cut your half square triangles, and you're off to the races. So really great starter project if you're new to quilting as well. A really great project if you're teaching somebody to sew. You could create a mini quilt or a mini doll quilt or just a mini wall hanging using some half square triangles, showing them how to kind of just manipulate the blocks, turn them this way and that way to get different looks. And it's a really great intro to quilting. All right, so we've got our 2 fabric squares. And as I mentioned, they're almost 5 inches square because they have that pinked edge. So mine are about 4 7/8 inch square. So my half square triangles are going to measure 4 inches. Everybody with me? All these numbers. I mentioned that numbers confuse me, but I'm getting better at it. All right, so I have this handy ruler. It's a half square triangle ruler, really. Where the heck is it? I thought it was right behind me. Well, you can see it in the image here. What I love about this ruler is it has a line down the center, and the edge of the ruler is exactly 1/4 inch away from that center line. It also has a triangular end on both ends. So you can place the little triangle end of your ruler on the diagonal of your squares, and you can draw lines on either side of the ruler, and those are our sewing lines for our half square triangle blocks. That center line is going to be our cutting line. So I don't even have to transfer a center line when I'm using this ruler. It's a really great shortcut. If you don't have this ruler, no worries. You can take your regular straight edge ruler or clear ruler. We have these at sulky.com. I literally have 4 of them because they're like my favorite little travel ruler, but we have this great 1x6 omni-grid ruler, really great for half square triangles as well. But you do have to move the ruler because obviously it's 1 inch wide instead of a 1/2 inch wide. All right, so you'll take your ruler, draw a line, from corner to corner. That's your cutting line. Sometimes I like to use different colored fabric markers or chalk for these lines so that I don't accidentally sew along the wrong line. Our center line from corner to corner is our cutting line. So you could draw this in, let's say a pink removable fabric marker. Then you're going to draw your sewing lines 1/4 of an inch away in maybe a different color. So now you know I sew along all the yellow lines, I cut along all the pink lines, okay? So you're going to mark all of your fabric sandwiches for however many you need to create, and then you're going to sew down your sewing lines, all right? After we do that, here I am sewing along the opposite sewing line, and I like to use Sulky 50 weight cotton thread for all of my piecing projects. The 50 weight is a nice light weight so that you don't have that sort of telltale bump of thread when you are piecing, especially something that can get a lot more intricate, or where you have intersecting seam lines. Even if you're nesting those seams, that can get a little bit bumpy when you go to quilt your finished piece. We don't want lumps and bumps. We want everything nice and flat. So that 50 weight thread really almost disappears inside of your fabric layers. So I'm using that in the needle and in the bobbin, and I'm using a size 70-10 needle. It's a smaller needle because we're using a very lightweight thread, and we want that needle eye to be just big enough to accommodate the thread thickness. We don't want our thread moving around inside a bigger needle eye, because that's how we can get loops in our stitching. Our bobbin thread can even be affected by that. You want that needle eye to be just big enough for your thread thickness. The needle number is the size of your needle eye. The needle type, the size of your needle. The needle type is dependent on your technique that you're doing. So I'm using a universal needle here, which has a slight ballpoint. You could also use a quilting needle for piecing. I have success with that as well. All right. So after we have sewn along our sewing lines, now we're going to cut along our cutting lines. And yes, our fabrics are right sides facing, of course. So you'll take your clear ruler, place it along that center line, and slice through your fabric layers with your rotary cutter. So now we've got the makings, or we've made really 2 half square triangles. We're going to take them over to the ironing board, to your pressing surface. And for half square triangles, and generally for any piecing that I'm doing that involves a really light colored fabric like this white with the blue flowers on it, I press my seam allowances toward the darker fabric. Sometimes if I'm using 2 pretty dark fabrics, I will press my seams open. It all depends on the block that I'm then going to create using my half square triangles. And I want the least bulk possible when I'm piecing together all of those elements. So that's kind of my rule of thumb as to whether I press the seams to one side or press them open. How many intersecting seams am I going to have, and how do I get it to lay as flat as possible? All right. Noreen says, could you repeat that about the thread and needles and loops? I want to write it down. Okay, so the number on your needle pack is the size of your needle, right? So this is a humongo needle. It's a 116. All right, so that number is how big our needle is. The bigger our needle is, the bigger needle eye we have to work with. So the larger this number, we want to pair that with a low number of thread weight. So this particular needle I use with a 12 weight thread. 12 weight is our heaviest thread. That is telling me that the needle eye is going to be quite large so that it will accommodate the thread thickness. Now a 70-10 needle is what I used for piecing with the 50 weight thread, because the 70-10 is going to mean it's a smaller needle, it has a smaller needle eye, and 50 weight means it's a thinner thread. It's always very tricky to get your brain kind of trained into this large number here, small number here. Okay. So back to our half square triangles. Now we've got 2 half square triangle blocks. Once you create a bunch more half square triangle blocks, you can start arranging them in different ways. So here I have 4 half square triangle blocks, started with 4 total fabric squares, our white and blue, and our white and blue. Actually 2, sorry. Started with 2 fabric squares to create 4 half square triangle blocks. All right, so this arrangement creates what is called a pinwheel block. You could create a really pretty table runner using pinwheel blocks on the top and bottom. So you would have 4 rows of half square triangle blocks. My table runner that I'm showcasing here has 3 rows of half square triangle blocks. But if you were doing pinwheels, you could create a table runner that has larger, maybe start with 10-inch squares of fabric, and just do 1 row of pinwheels, which would be 2 rows of half square triangle blocks. Get where I'm going here? So many numbers. All right, so here is a beautiful pinwheel block you can create. You can also create what is called a square in a square. This is a cool block. I like these simple blocks because you can add embroidery or an applique or something in the center of your square within a square. Also, you can create what's called, there's a lot of different names for this particular simple block. Some people call it an hourglass. Some people call it a bow tie. So depending on, how you look at it, it's either a cute bow tie or an hourglass. But this is another simple block you can create. You can also create flying geese. And you can also keep your half square triangle blocks as half square triangles. So that's what I did for my table runner because I was really driving home the whole half square triangle creation. So I kept my blocks with the blue on top, white on the bottom, and started piecing them together in this way. All right. So once you have your half square triangles pieced to your liking, whether you're doing pinwheel blocks or squares within a square, etc., you can create your quilt sandwich for your simple table runner. So I forget what mine measures. I want to say it's probably like 28 long, maybe around 10, 11 wide, since my blocks finish at around 4 inches square. But that's really the beauty of a table runner. It can be as narrow or as long as you want it to be. There is no rule of thumb. This is not a placemat where we need it to fit a particular plate size, etc. So, even if you have, let's say, a piano or something like that, you could do 1 row of half square triangles to just kind of dress up the top of the piano, add a little bit of springy fabric colors to it, and very, very simple to do. All right, so we'll create our quilt sandwich using our trusty KK2000 temporary spray adhesive to spray baste our quilt layers together along with our backing fabric. And now comes the fun of quilting. So when I do a really simple piecing project such as this, I like to kind of do a little bit more quilting so that the thread can really pop off the surface and add a really decorative embellishment to the finished table runner. If I have a more intricately pieced table topper, which, I showed you 4 very simple blocks with the pinwheel, etc. You can even build on those to create different blocks using more half square triangles, pairing them with solid fabric squares to create things like friendship star blocks, etc. But at any rate, I like to use a really prominent 30 weight cotton thread. And as you can see, I chose one of Sulky's Blendables threads. The Blendables are different from variegated threads because they are randomly dyed every 2.5 to 5 inches. So for my table runner, I did sort of a wavy, like serpentine stitch on my sewing machine, and I made my stitch length really short or small so that it almost looked like a bead stitch. So the thread popped off the surface even more so. Sometimes I like to do really long stitches when I'm doing quilting, especially with heavier weight thread. But this time I was trying something different and I decided to go really narrow so that it almost looked like a little handwork bead stitch on the top of my table runner. So I paired this with that same 50 weight thread in the bobbin that I was using for piecing. But you can also use this heavier weight 30 weight thread in the bobbin as well. And then your table runner is kind of reversible, right? Or totally reversible. On the other side, where you have your single color background fabric or backing fabric, you'll have that pretty quilting as well from your bobbin thread. So up to you what you would like to use in the bobbin, but you do need to go up in needle size when we're going up in thread weight. So since I'm using that 30 weight thread, I went up to a 90-14 quilting needle. The 90-14 accommodates that 30 weight thread without the thread bobbing up and down inside of the needle eye so that we have nice flat quilting stitches that look beautiful and nice and balanced. So as I mentioned, I chose kind of a wavy stitch and I just placed my quilting lines about 1/4 inch away from each other. I love using a wavy stitch for quilting because if I get a little off kilter, it's way less noticeable than if I was doing straight line quilting. And I just varied the distance ever so much between my rows. And that was also so that if I was a little bit off, it would look like I planned it. Okay. So this is a really great sort of quilting hack, if you will. If you're not that confident about, making sure your rows are exactly spaced and all of these good things, which I do like to do sometimes, don't get me wrong. But I was having a little bit more fun with this table runner, being a little more loosey-goosey and making sure that I could complete this in an afternoon's time, because sometimes we really want to create something and have it finished. It's not looming over our head, sitting here needing binding, etc. So in the time frame that I had, I was able to totally complete this and have a really great result as well. And you can see the pretty Blendables colors. They don't stack on top of each other. We don't have a portion where everything's that dark blue. Everything is that tan color because the colors blend in every 2.5 to 5 inches. Whereas if I was using a traditional variegated thread, I would have these same repeating chunks of color all across the table runner. And while there are times where we would like that, for this particular project, I want the colors to blend and have this watercolor effect to them. So here's a little bit more of the quilting as I went along. You can see my lines are not equidistant and they're not perfect, and I still love it. So after our quilting is complete, we'll square up the table runner, making sure not to trim off our triangle points. We still want them to look nice along all of the edges. Sometimes when we get to trimming, you can trim into your block and then it starts to look a little wonky, look a little off. So just make sure when you're trimming, you're backing and batting away after you're quilting, that you're not cutting off any of your little triangle points, or cutting into your block rather. So I made my own binding, quick and easy. I didn't even cut it on the bias, and I used this really great kind of gray neutral print fabric, and I simply stitched on my binding and then hand sewed it to the back, and we have our finished springy table runner that can take us into spring, maybe even into fall, with these nice muted blues. So I really like how it turned out with all of these half square triangles. This is a great basis to make an even larger quilt. You can also experiment and use all different fabrics. You can dive into your fabric stash, and you don't have to have all of your fabrics match for each of your half square triangles. You can really have fun with it, make it super patchworky, arrange your blocks in different ways, and come up with your own half square triangle inspired table runner. All right, so let's see if we have any questions. Carol says, I wasn't aware of this thread and I will be buying some for a tote bag project I am doing. Fantastic. Brenda says, love the quilting. Let's see, isn't it harder to do a wavy line than a straight line? Any tips? I actually think it's much easier for, as far as spacing them and everything I described, but I just chose a wavy decorative stitch on my sewing machine. I didn't move the table runner myself to create those waves. I just simply guided my table runner or my quilt sandwich under the presser foot, and it created all of those waves. So on my machine, I have something like 327 decorative stitches to choose from. Lots of them are buttonholes. Some of them are little hearts or stars or moons or what have you. But I have a section on my machine that has quilting stitches. And some of them are a tighter serpentine stitch. Some of them are long wave stitches. All kinds of different things to choose from. So experiment with your decorative stitches on your machine. You can experiment with your stitch length and width to make them longer, wider, and do a little practice on a quilt sandwich and see how your needle moves and how your machine behaves with those different decorative stitches, and you can use them to quilt your own pieces in different ways. All right. Let's see. Great idea for different seasons for different table runners. Yes, absolutely. A great teaching project for my granddaughter. Totally. You know what? You could just create 4 half square triangle blocks and have a little mug rug and just keep the lesson really low key, really simple. Bind the little mug rug, get a cute cup of coffee or hot cocoa, whatever, and a little cookie, and you have your little mug rug, and, teach how to just rotate those blocks to create different looks. You can just create one little pinwheel, bind it, add a little loop, and you've got a pot holder. So lots of different ways to interpret this for good teachable moments. So yes, thank you for mentioning that as well. All right. Gail says, I use blendables all the time for quilting. So do I. It is really my go-to for quilting thread when I want my quilting to really be the star. When I want my quilting to more blend in and I want my blocks to be the star, or maybe I've added embroidery and I don't want to sort of compete with the embroidery design, then I will quilt the piece with a lighter weight thread like the 50 weight cotton thread. Cecilia says, I'm ready to do a new quilt of triangles now. Fantastic. Pamela says, that's so pretty. Thank you so much. Yes, the entire tutorial is on the Sulky blog at blog.sulky.com, along with tips for, manipulating your half square triangles to create larger, more intricate, complicated blocks as well. All right, so lots to talk about today on So What. I thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to head on over to sulky.com because we have an amazing deal going on right now on rayon and polydeco king spools of thread are 35% off. This is an amazing deal. You will also get 35% off of our stabilizer assortments. We have so many assortments of stabilizers for quilters, embroidery basic stabilizers. You can get our most popular embroidery stabilizers bundled together for a great deal and then get 35% off on top of that. So check out those great deals. No coupon is needed. They're already discounted on the sulky.com website, along with the kits I was talking about today. So the kits for our Treasured Threads webcast, which is happening next week, April 9th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time with Amy Barrickman. These kits are on sale right now. The kits for our embroidered leggings sewing session, also on sale right now. And if you want to grab up a kit for our copycat leggings, those are on sale because you can use those kits for the Pittsburgh walking pants as well. They have the same amount of fabric, a little bit different type of fabric, and they are a fabric print. You can choose from Galaxy Black or Brushed Pink to have a different look for your pants. All right, so all kinds of things on sale, and we have a lot of Serger content to look forward to as we dive into the month of April. So be sure to keep joining me here every Tuesday for So What, and I will also see you next Tuesday at 2 p.m. for our Faux Patchwork webcast with Amy Barrickman. So sign up for all of your great education over at sewingonline.sulky.com, and I'll see you next week for another So What.